Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Art of Creation Homestead. My name is Jason, and it's Sunday afternoon here. We're out here to do our devotional this week. For those of you who are not aware, that's what we do every Sunday. Okay, we'll talk about Jesus for a little bit. I'm going through the book of John. All right, I love the book of John. It's an awesome book. I think it's the most well-written book in the entire Bible, and I love to just talk about it. So we're going through the book of John right now, and we're going to start John chapter 9 today. Okay, and John chapter 9 starts off with an interesting story that I've got a unique twist on. I really have a way I'd like to preach this specific story, but it'd be too long for this video, so we can't do that. But I am going to go ahead and go talk about it in a manner that maybe you haven't really thought about before. Maybe you haven't ever heard preached before as well. Okay, so in John chapter 9 verse 1, it said, as he went along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Neither this man nor his parents sinned, said Jesus, but this happened so that the work of God might be displayed in his life. As long as it is day, we must do the work of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work. In verse 5 it says, while I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Okay, we're going to stop right there. We'll continue reading in just a second, but right there again, a very major theme in everything that John wrote in the Gospel of John and in 1 John 1, 2 John, 3 John as well. He talked about night and day, light and dark. Big deal for John's writing is the contrast between day and night, light and dark, and the spiritual darkness and light as well. Okay, it's big deal in John's writings. He talked about it all the time and alluded to it in a lot of different manners. So again, sticking with that theme. And then verse 6, he said, having said this, he spit on the ground, made some mud with the saliva, and put it on the man's eyes. Go, he told him, wash in the pool of Siloam. So the man went and washed and came home seeing. All right, and that was John 9, 1 through 7, okay? So now, we see there that this man was born blind. And their thought process is that somebody had to sin. Somebody had to mess up for this guy to be born with a birth defect, right? Good thing we don't think like that these days. At least we shouldn't, because there's too many birth defects and too many issues going along with children being born these days. To think that somebody did something to cause this every single time, right? I mean, obviously we all sin, okay, and obviously there is disciplinary action for our sin. But I mean, to think that every time we mess up, or every time somebody's born with a birth defect, we must have messed that up somehow. I mean, that would be a terrible way to think about everything. But anyway, so they're like, hey, their thought process is somebody did something wrong. Who was it? You know, why was he born blind? And Jesus' response was just very simple. It was like, nobody did anything wrong necessarily to cause this. Just that this happened so that the work of God can be displayed in his life. You know, if we thought about every situation that we come across as an opportunity for God to do something awesome in our lives, that would be a great way to look at it, right? Is that, hey, you know, what's going on? Hey, okay, this is something I have a question. I don't understand. Why is this going on the way it is? Why is this happening? What's going on? Well, hey, maybe we should look at it as an opportunity to say, hey, okay, God, what do you want to do in this spot of my life, right? And so that's something we should always think about is this an opportunity or an obstacle, correct? I mean, is it an obstacle to get where I'm going, or is it an opportunity for God to do something awesome and to create a testimony that can glorify his name, enhance his kingdom, advance his kingdom, and bring others into the fold, right? Bring others to eternity with us. So it went on, and Jesus' solution to this was something that personally I wouldn't do. but what he did was he spat. He spit in the ground. He spit in the dirt and made some mud. Probably not my first thought would be to spit in the dirt. But hey, you know, he's Jesus. So he spit in the dirt, made some mud, and rubbed it on the man's eyes. He took his saliva, made some mud, a little Jesus mud pie, and bam, right there, right in his eyes. And then he told the guy to go wash. He washed. Boom, he sees, right? But now let's think about what this really says. What this really says is we have an issue here. We don't understand why we had this issue. So we allow Jesus to do some work, and then we respond in obedience, and boom, the situation is solved. What if we applied that process to every single thing in our life that we did not understand? What if we applied that process to every single problem we have? Every time something happens that we are like, I don't understand, I don't get it, I have a question, why is this happening? What if we took that scenario every time and our first thought was, God, what do you want to do here? Jesus, work in my life. Jesus, do this. And then when you get the stirring in your heart, you are obedient. Do you think this whole process would turn out for you in the same manner that it turned out for him? I believe it would. I should do that myself. And Angela and I need to do a better job of that ourselves. I would assume we could all put ourselves in that scenario and say, hey, we could all do better in our lives. And here's the thing. When we do this, it should not be, well, so I can live a better life. That should never really be our end goal. Is just for Jason to live a better life, so that Jason and Angela can have a better life. You know, that's true. Okay, that'll happen. But like, that really needs to be is, let's do this to advance God's kingdom. Let's do this to glorify God's name. And Jesus said this happens so that the work of God might be displayed in his life. God gets glory when this work is displayed. Well, let me be a vessel. Let me be a vessel for that. Okay, let my problems turn into an opportunity for God to get some glory, and his kingdom get advanced and enhanced, and him get glorified, and people come along and say, hey, let's do this. Let's live for this Jesus guy, because he's pretty stinking awesome, right? So what if every single time we found the opportunity and not an obstacle, we allowed God to work and we put some Jesus on it, right? Because that's what really happened. That's what really happened. I think about it like this, like when I was in high school, especially, you know, you just a bunch of kids, and I played high school sports. We played baseball and football in high school, and whenever, like baseball, for instance, this is a good example is when like somebody would get hit by a pitch, or the ball would hit them, or they get injured, or just something like banged up and bruised up, whatever. Our sarcastic selves would just, we'd have this thing, we realize, hey, rub some dirt on it. Being sarcastic, right? Okay, rub some dirt on it, it'd be all right. Quit being a wimp, right? But what if we did this? We had a little bump or bruise in life, and we just rubbed some Jesus on it, because that's what Jesus did. He spit on the ground, his spit in the mud, or in the dirt, made some mud, boom, rubbed some Jesus on it. So I'm telling you something right now. Throughout this week, when you have problems arise, because you're going to, at work, at home, whatever, put some Jesus on it first. Put some Jesus on it before you put yourself into it. And I bet you the situation's gonna turn out a heck of a lot better than it would have before. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We do appreciate it. Have any prayer requests or comments, praise reports, please leave them below in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you, pray for you. My name is Jason, Art of Creation Homestead. We love y'all. God bless you, and goodbye.